Welcome back to Road to Fire. We're a family of 4 documenting our journey to FIRE, financial independence, retire early. Let's chat about 6 financial numbers you should know for FIRE. I will share details of each number, how we leverage this information, and where we made financial changes with all the numbers like always, so please hang with me. So our total monthly income is about $23,000, or that is what we're averaging for the first 4 months of this year. Now this is our net income, joint net income as we combined all of our finances. But it is inflated as we had bonuses in January and February, and we also had 2 3-pay period months already. It's hard to budget when you don't have a consistent income, but we found a good routine so far. Now I'm old school and manage all of our numbers, including our budget in Excel. It's just easier for me. But if you go back 5 or 6 years or so, I'm not sure I would even know what our true income was. We've made many changes over the last 5 years to know our financial numbers better. And before we started our FIRE journey, I wasn't actively managing our expenses and we were living basically paycheck to paycheck. Now, I'm embarrassed to say I wasn't young and dumb. This was in my early 30s, and I just didn't understand the importance of knowing our numbers. If we had started tracking our key financial numbers earlier, I know we would be further along in our FIRE journey. You honestly can't start or begin your FIRE journey without knowing your financial numbers, especially if you don't know your current run rate or expenses. And if you don't know your run rate, then you can't determine your FIRE number and so forth. I think what's most surprising for me is that I'm finding that most people don't know their core financial numbers. We can rattle off our work experience in a quick 30-second elevator pitch or speech, but why can't we do that with our finances? I find that there are only a few financial numbers that you need to know to better understand your total financial picture. But once we got our numbers, we were set and focused, and we were able to plan and finally begin to execute our plan to hit FIRE. I might be missing a few numbers, let me know if I'm missing one, but here are the 6 financial numbers in no particular order that everyone should know. Number 1 is know your net income. What is your take-home pay? How much is hitting your bank account on average month over month? Knowing your actual take-home pay or your average take-home pay for those who have inconsistent incomes is very important to building long-term wealth. Your income is a key factor to determine how fast or slow you reach FIRE, but more importantly, it helps you understand your overall spread against your expenses. Now, calculating your net income is important and relatively easy. So take your gross pay and subtract your deductions. Your deductions will include taxes, insurance, as well as HSA or 401k contributions based on your personal selections. Now, if you're new in your job, there are many salary calculators online to help you understand your expected income. Now, we worked on growing our income over the last few years as this has helped us pursue FIRE faster. This month, our net income is about $23,500, but we're still around that $23,000 average month over month. We recently also started tracking our annual household income to continue to push us on our journey to FIRE year over year. Now, number 2 is know your monthly expenses. After knowing your income, you need to know your expenses so you can better understand how much is coming in and how much is coming out. This is important to make sure you are not overspending or spending too much on non-essential items. Calculating your monthly expenses require a bit more effort. You have to spend time tracking your monthly bills and better understand what you spend on month over month. Simply put, you have to add up all of your monthly expenses to get to your total monthly expense. Now, we track our expenses via Excel to better understand our monthly run rate over time and to help us calculate averages so we can plan for the future. Because we consistently budget for some time now, I know this number by heart. Our monthly expenses on average is about $15,000 a month, and that includes everything from tithing to our children's childcare, to our children's tuition, to our 2 mortgages, and everything in between. This number is key to building your own FIRE plan and creating your FIRE number for the future. So number 3 is know your net worth. Unfortunately, this is a key financial number we started tracking late in our journey. Your net worth is very easy to calculate. You take your assets minus your liabilities to find your net worth. Or another way to say it, you take everything you own minus everything you owe. Calculating it is pretty easy, but what you include is very subjective. We include only appreciating assets, so our homes, cash, and stock investments in our assets allocation. And for liabilities, we include anything we owe, which currently are just our 2 mortgages. We used to include our cars in the equation, but it just didn't make sense for me as I kept thinking about it. Plus, this keeps things very simple for long-term year-over-year analysis. Choose what makes the most sense for you in your analysis and your financial plan, but just make sure that it's consistent year over year. Your net worth is a good indicator of your total financial health. Net worth is a better measure of someone's financial stability than income alone. Today, our net worth is just over $900,000, but I know it'd be higher if we had started tracking this number in our 20s. If anything, this number is probably the top 2 most important for us. Now I hate budgeting with online apps. Hear me out. I used to use Mint, but the most annoying part was recategorizing all of our expenses. Because sometimes the vendor name in Mint was not intuitive to Mint. Mint would categorize restaurants under banking or transactions as transfers, as withdrawals, as other expenses. It was just time consuming to have to recategorize every single expense. Now, this was back in like 2015 or so, and I know technology has gotten much smarter. And I also hear that Mint is gone altogether. Anyways, that experience made me rely solely on Excel, and we have been budgeting this way ever since. Now, it sounds like it would take long, but because we use one credit card for most transactions, I only have to pull up 1 or 2 accounts to review our expenses or savings, and I just manually plug it into Excel. The other benefit for Excel is the customization of how we categorize things. Now, I simplify things for this channel, but I like to get very granular when it comes to our budget. And if I had to guess, it takes me about 25 minutes a month to update our budget, while updating our net worth takes a little bit longer because we have investments across about 7 different platforms. But because we budget monthly, we know our net income, our monthly expenses, and we can relatively easily calculate our net worth. Now, I know the B word or budgeting can sound daunting or negative to most. Some call it a plan or a tracker or a conscious plan. I really don't care what it's called. Just spend time learning your numbers. Now, I personally enjoy budgeting. I am a number-specific, goal-oriented type of person, so seeing our progress is helpful, especially in charts and graphs. But I know family members who don't budget, who automate everything, and others who rely on apps. So find the best way that works for you, but stay informed on your own financial numbers. So number 4 is know your cash flow. How much money do you have after all of your expenses are paid? Cash flow is important in business operations, but it's more so important in personal finance. It's your spread, and it's what keeps you from living paycheck to paycheck. Calculating your cash flow or spread is simple. You take your net pay minus your expenses to find your cash flow. Your cash flow can help you better understand your savings potential each month. Right now, our cash flow is averaging about $6,500 a month, and this is the amount of money we have left after all of our expenses are paid in a given month. This equals about 30% of our net pay. And because we know our cash flow, we are able to easily understand our savings rate. Your savings rate will be key to helping you reach FIRE quickly. Today, we funnel all of our cash flow or leftover income into investments and cash savings, but that was not always the case. If you go back again about 6 years or so, our cash flow will be spent on clothes, vacations, and expensive gifts. After we found FIRE, things changed. We worked on growing our cash flow by lowering our expenses and increasing our income simultaneously. And we are finally reaping the hard decisions we made a few years back. Okay, number 5 is know your credit score. Now, I made an entire video on this, but knowing your credit score and keeping it high will help you when purchasing large assets. It lets lenders know that you can manage their money and pay it back effectively. Calculating your credit score is a bit harder as you really don't calculate it. But there are 5 things that impact your credit score. And they are payment history, credit utilization, credit length, credit mix, and new credit inquiries. They are weighted differently but outlined in order of importance here. Right now, my credit score is just over 800 and it took a long time to get there. Now, I've never had problems with debt, but I didn't understand the importance of the calculation or factors impacting my credit score. Now, if I can tell my younger self anything, it would be to utilize the free credit report annually and work on getting a better score earlier. Okay, last but not least is know your debt to income ratio, or better yet, know your debt numbers. The debt to income ratio is used by lenders to determine the risk of lending you money, usually for larger assets such as a purchase of a home, car, or a boat. But to calculate your debt to income ratio, you take your monthly debt payments and divide it by your monthly gross income, or your income before taxes. Keep in mind, expenses like groceries, utilities, gas are generally not included. Our debt to income ratio is about 14% because we only have 2 liabilities right now, which are our homes, and our gross income is relatively high, just at about $375,000 without our rental income. Apart from knowing your DTI, having a clear picture of your total debt and interest rates associated to them is very critical. Today, we are 100% consumer debt-free, but both of our mortgages have a rate just under 3%. And we have no plans on paying off our mortgages, but when we move in the next 18 months or so, we'll definitely make this a priority. Now, I know I'm missing a few other financial numbers. I could have added in the retirement numbers as in 401k balances or retirement savings, but these 6 numbers are the fundamentals. Before you can think about retirement, let's figure out how much you make, what you spend, and how much you save. There is always this rush to skip steps on any journey, whether building wealth, starting a business, or even a fitness journey. But you can't skip or bypass the progress. It's part of the growth. These 6 numbers has helped us build an almost $1 million net worth in over the last 6+ years. The minute we started tracking our numbers, the more focused we became and the better we could plan and organize our finances. Whenever I get to talking about money with anyone, which happens a lot, I always get the "where do we start?" question. To me, this is where you start. You have to start with knowing your numbers because it tells you what yard line you are starting at. Are you at the 10-yard line or the 25-yard line? Knowing your numbers gives you a clear baseline to begin building off of. But the hardest part is that some of these financial numbers take time. You have to get a good few months to know your monthly expenses or at least know the averages, and it also takes time to build a good credit score. But taking the first initial months to track your numbers and then knowing your numbers will change your financial journey. Trust me. One of our biggest financial mistakes outside of an overpriced wedding and getting 2 new cars is not tracking our numbers earlier. Now, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below. Until next time.